Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
I think I know how everything works here. It's been a while. Hi! Not dead. Bradshaw with you here on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching here on The Bradshaw Show. Website, bradshawshow.com. Email, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw, where I will occasionally make some right-wingers' head explode. It is kind of fun to watch. I'm reminded, the beauty of, adaptation. And how, we have bred, bacteria now. I can live anywhere. You have, billions of them swimming around your guts right now. More if you use Activia, apparently. You don't eat it, you use it. We have created, bacteria that can feed off of nylon. Right, a completely, synthetic creation that's not even 100 years old. And something has already found a way to make it delectable. In the same way, apparently politics has a way. We have created individuals who, I swear, just consume rage. They eat it, they breathe it in, they certainly expel it. And it seems to be their motivating factor. And I will admit, for a time, I really enjoyed trolling those people. Like, making their heads explode, asking them questions that they didn't want to answer and wouldn't know the answer to, and winding them up. Again, a little inside baseball. I was told very early on that I was not to be overly combative, that would be a bad career move on my part. And since that, came from trusted sources, so I live with it. You have to kind of you can't pants people, but you can let them pants themselves. It's the whole, Roadhouse, be nice. And I used to take great joy in winding them up. And actually, I didn't even wind them up. The Becks and the Limbaughs and the Hannitys and the Savages would wind them up. I would just put them on display for everyone to see. And I don't know, as I get older, I feel bad for them. I really do. It's why I talk about things like the Freedom Works scam. Maybe that part of their head, I never agree with him, but I think he's wrong, but maybe some of that sinks in. Because I'm not giving money to Freedom Works. I'm not sending money to the Chamber of Commerce, right? I'm trying to help them out. Like, I'm not trying to, convert them to the first church of liberalism. But just, come out of the wilderness. Trying to talk John Rambo out of the forest. It's not doing them any good. I do occasionally. I give in to my base urges, I admit this. I still occasionally, use one as target practice. It's kind of like BP. Take a few swings in the cage. Get ready for the game. But I really do try. It's gone too far. What started as, I think, a very rational reaction by the conservative movement to keep their base energized has become just an organism that's going to eat itself. Is the Republican Party going the way of the Whigs? Maybe. while we were gone, while many of us were enjoying eggnog and holiday specials, and the like, the debt, fiscal cliff deal was done, and it didn't even get a majority of Republican votes. Like there was there was serious talk of, God, will this thing pass the Republican House of Representatives? And it did, not thanks to Republicans, but it was Democrats that put this thing over the top. Which will then lead us now to another fiscal cliff in 2 months, so we can do this whole thing over again with the added bonus of the potential of defaulting on the debt and perhaps a government shutdown, which, again, it's not even, they're not even like talking away from it now. We have Republican lawmakers going on Sunday shows and former Republican lawmakers like Newt Gingrich going on, these national shows and opining about the good old days when they shut down the federal government. The Republican Party has some serious problems. A sign of which we saw, again, here in Iowa. When Matt Strawn had to fall on his sword as the ceremonial fall guy for the Iowa caucus debacle, A.J. Spiker took the head of the Iowa Republican Party of Iowa. And it's been pointed out by many of my conservative friends that perhaps A.J. Spiker is far more concerned with the fate of, Ron Paul and his movement than little things like electing Republicans in Iowa. He certainly gets some of the blame for Republicans failing to take the state Senate, for losing seats in the Iowa State House, and probably more importantly, a huge drop in donations. Between June and October of 2012, 55 individuals. This is a state of 3 million. In an election year, 55 individuals donated for a total of $30,000. That's, politically speaking, nothing. How do you pull that off? Well, and part of it is you have a depressed party. And, well, we should have seen this coming with the county convention, state convention, as the Ron Paul people look to fill the vacuum. So A.J. Spiker takes the head job of the Republican Party of Iowa, fills positions with fellow travelers, and just this weekend was reelected as the state party chair and put more Ron Paul people. Now, again, what they possess in zeal, and it is almost Flavor Aid worthy. The Ron Paul people have not a very good track record of accomplishing anything. Like, yeah, they can fill seats, but they're not really good at bringing in new people, and they're certainly not good at fundraising. At least not here in the state, which I guess is good news for Democrats. We'll go out and win elections, and you guys can talk about the gold standard and raw milk. We'll handle that. I just don't know if they're doing you guys any favors. All right. 244-0077. Phone number. I guess outside the metro, it's 855-244-0077. All are welcome. Some are even capable. The email address, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. I know there's other stuff going on. But it just seems, there's an ongoing theme. Like, one of the two political parties in this country has gone completely insane. Or just, getting simple things done is almost impossible. And, at some point, I don't know if we have to bring back leeches. They use maggots now to remove the necrotic flesh. I mean, some guys just ain't on board. Including our own Steve King. This is a new one. As the new Congress comes in, what is Steve King? Desperately lack of a farm bill. We're not going off the milk cliff, I guess, but a farm bill seems like it'd be something important, for the state of Iowa. I don't know, the economy. Now Steve King is back trying to get rid of the 14th Amendment. The Birthright Citizenship Act of 2013. Birthright citizenship. That's it. Oh, wait. The Birthright Citizenship Act of 2013 is trying to do away with that. Another to repeal Obamacare, and another one to repeal the 16th Amendment. Again, for a group that says they love the Constitution, they sure want to get rid of some very important parts of it. The anchor baby legislation. I don't know if Steve King is aware of this. Maybe not, living in the 98% white Iowa. Republicans have a little bit of a Hispanic problem. It's people like Steve King getting up on their soapboxes and finding the TV cameras. They're a part of it. It is not a growth industry. You want to know how bad, by the way, the xenophobe movement is doing? Here,
not particularly.
I'm not making this. I seriously, the American Nazi Party has better outreach than Steve King. And this isn't like the dress-up people. This isn't like this is like these like, hey, you know what? Those Nazis had some really great ideas. The American Nazi Party now offers a means for non-whites to, quote, aid our struggle.
Well, the the Nazi Party did have the gun control issue under wraps, so you apparently agree with them having good thoughts, I think. They were
I look horrible in brown.
They were absolutely anti-citizens having guns. They wanted everybody to turn them in. In fact, they went around and collected them. So,
broken clock. But if you are of apparently, I don't know, the less than flaming Caucasian, for a minimum monthly donation of $10, you can get a 1-year subscription to their print publication, The White Worker. And as a sympathizer, you would not be eligible, and I'm sure these are fun, to attend their meetings, conference calls, or inter-party events. But you can get a copy of their magazine. Do you get put on the good list? I don't think something about Nazi doesn't inspire trust.
Yeah,
I'm not even going Godwin here. I'm talking about actual real life Nazis.
Yeah, I don't think you really want to be associated with anybody that's an active Nazi. Now,
but even the Nazis know they have to reach out, and Steve King doesn't.
Yeah, well, I mean that is true. I don't know what to say to that. I mean,
Send your checks or more to yours just to ANP. Don't write out the whole thing, apparently. You might get funny looks at your bank.
I just don't think I'll send them any money. I mean, that's kind of been.
No, you're white. You're fine. You can get invited to.
I'm pretty colored at this point.
Can you imagine, though, what they're. Well, the Nazis were big fans of tattooing people, so maybe they'll.
Yeah, but oddly, they all seem to have black and white tattoos.
They would be fans of yours.
There is really nothing they're going to like that I have to say to the Nazi Party.
But they had very strong Christian beliefs. So they had that going for them.
That's about as Christian beliefs as I am a liberal.
Hey, potato.
No, that's like potato zucchini.
They had very strong.
They had very strong beliefs. Christian is not the word I would use to describe them.
That was the word they described.
Well,
unless you want to play No True Scotsman.
I can start telling you I'm a liberal, but you would not describe me as a liberal in any way, shape, or form, would you?
I could see you dating a dude.
Has it really got to this? Are we that comfortable that you could tell me I'm going to date a dude?
I could see that.
That would never happen.
Like my eyeballs wouldn't fall out of my socket. I mean, it'd be far more surprising than Bob Vanderplatz.
I don't know that my
restroom, but
I don't know that sexual orientation has anything to do with being liberal or conservative, though, because I know gay guys that I would consider conservative.
Well, now actually, we're going to get into the log cabin. Well, let me rephrase that. We'll discuss the log cabin Republicans and whose dirty work they're doing these days. Point being, Republicans have a serious problem. As Lindsey Graham, and I won't make any disparaging comments here, I think rightly said, they're not making enough angry old white men anymore. You know, I was down in Texas over the weekend. Which, over the course of like 2 days, I completely forgot about snow. Like it was like dreary and rainy, and we're on the plane, clouds, and when you come down for your final descent, you finally come under the cloud cover. It's like, oh yeah, there's snow here. But the one thing that kept popping into my head, and yes, I know I have a problem, is that we're not that far away from this being a blue state. Had a nice conversation with the shuttle driver who came back from Iraq and was like, Houston is like, Houston skeeved him out. But talking about the their love of guns and fireworks and anything involving gunpowder, basically. Like that's going to be a blue state. The demographics bear it out, and really the only thing stopping that is just a huge sea change by the GOP that I don't think they have in them. I think they just have too much invested in this path. And as long as guys like Steve King, stand up and, why, yes, FYIGM, thank you very much. They do it very openly, they do it very publicly, and they do it, to the great applause, at least of the Republican base. Where voting, for Sandy relief. This was the Club for Growth, along with Americans for Prosperity, the Koch brothers group. Were lobbying against voting for Sandy relief. Voting for Sandy relief gets you, gets tomatoes and rotten fruit thrown at you by Republicans. But trying to rewrite the 14th Amendment, wild cheers and probably donations. Steve King's probably going to make a decent amount of cash off this. Can I help you?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. This is a stupid question, but I didn't.
There
want
are
to
no stupid questions.
I didn't
but
want to
God,
Google it.
Dumb people are really inquisitive sometimes.
They are. Hurricane Sandy, not Sandy Hook, right? Is that what you're
Correct.
Okay.
Hurricane.
Good. Now that we have so many Sandys
No,
floating around.
the other thing is, yeah, people were telling Gabby Giffords to stay the hell away from Newtown because class. But I think we really are seeing the opening salvos of this Republican Civil War and who will win the party. And Duncan Black writes over at Eschaton, made a really good point. It is a very valuable skill in this world. At least personally, how much public value it has is another story. In getting people to send you money. And again, this is a power that can be used for good, like the American Cancer Society, or it could be used, for evil. Tune in, I don't know, TBN, at pretty much any hour. The Republican Party has a lot of those people. The problem is, I don't know, this has been my experience. The people who are really good at getting you to give them money aren't really good at much else. It's apparently an all-encompassing skill. And so what you have is the right that has been able to raise large, vast, ginormous amounts of money, but really isn't good at anything else. Certainly not good at governing. And, normally I would just say, well, follow the money. Who will win control of the Republican Party? The guys who write big checks. There may just be enough small people who write enough small checks to balance that out. But if the Steve King side of the GOP reigns supreme, I mean, they could very well go the way of the Whig Party. Free soil? No, nothings is already taken. Because you look, especially that South, is getting less flaming Caucasian. And when Republicans look, we're getting our clocks cleaned with African Americans, Asian Americans, Latinos. These are fast-growing groups. And you got nowhere to go. Now you take Texas blue, and all of a sudden, there is no path for a Republican president. We've got New York, Illinois, California and Texas. You're pretty much the Electoral College there. All of a sudden, fighting for Iowa doesn't make quite as much sense. And maybe this is just a sign of, bad economy. Maybe this is, yet another demographic shift. But we see, these rural towns literally dying off, more people moving into larger areas. And most of these big cities, liberal, democratic, blue. So you have more of the population setting up, in democratic centers. You have strongholds that are teetering. And maybe a guy like Steve King doesn't care. Maybe the Ron Paul guys don't care as long as they can drink raw milk and buy gold. And again, I'm not saying this for my own benefit. I'm a Democrat. I'm a card-carrying member of the ACLU. Where are they going to go? What's the future hold? I mean, I know America as a whole and politics in general, right up there with business owners and I don't know, running the Chicago Cubs. That lack of long-term forward thinking. Maybe they don't care what happens 8 years in the future. Maybe they don't care what happens 4 years in the future. And based on what they're doing now, that may very well be the case. All right, when we come back, with the fiscal cliff averted for now, might we be headed to the mother of all financial showdowns? The perfect storm? Just in time to ruin your Easter weekend? And I can't say I'm a huge Chuck Hagel fan. But watching the campaign against him as the Secretary of Defense, I mean, it's literally everything from the log cabin Republicans to the Israel lobby. They're throwing everything they can against this guy. Why is that? I will tell you that and more when we come back. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Back right after this on The Bradshaw Show, thebradshawshow.com, on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative manager
I'm the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
head bob. Ready, go.
All right, straight up 2 o'clock. Bradshaw back with you. When was the last time I was on? It's been a while.
I don't know. It was a couple weeks ago.
Got blizzarded, and then I was going to take last week off. Anyway, we had the Christmas stuff. One day the Bradshaw mobile died. It's back. It's alive. Have no fear. If anyone wants to send me a car, however, you're more than willing to take it off your hands. So yeah, it's been a while. Oh, so much stuff has happened. I don't even know where to start. I mean, certainly a lot not to love about the fiscal cliff talk deal. The thing I told you I was on board with not. Let's go over the cliff. Because frankly, we weren't going to get anything out of Republicans anyway. Although I am getting a kick out of watching them bash the president for not extending the payroll tax cut that they fought against. And again, I would hope, the sad saga of the Blue Dog Democrat. Certainly Republicans didn't go light on Leonard Boswell because, well, he was more than willing to cave on a handful of issues to placate Republicans. No quarter will be given. No credit will be given. That's not how the game is played these days. But watching Republicans, again, bash Democrats for something that they demanded, I guess is just the name of the game these days. It certainly hasn't been an effective strategy locally or nationally overall. But neither here nor there. The important takeaway from the deal is that we have simply kicked the can down the road. What we've given is a couple-month extension on the sequestration cuts. Those are the automatic cuts to both domestic and military spending that were supposed to be so over the top and onerous, right, that no side would want to implement them. That was going to be, the initiative to actually cut a deal. Greatly underestimating the dysfunctionality of our current GOP. So, what we saw, one, like I said, real thought that perhaps this deal would not pass in the House of Representatives, but enough Democrats came on board. And not something I would say that often, but I guess, credit to Speaker Boehner, who understood that, running a country was probably a little more important than placating wackos, wingnuts, and moonbats. Speaker Boehner violated what has been called the Hastert Rule. Former Speaker Denny Hastert said no bills would come up unless they had a majority of the Republican caucus. When, blue team over there, red team over there, when the red team got together, unless at least half of them would support something, Hastert wouldn't put the bill up. Boehner knew what he was doing. He took the risk and got the deal through. And today, sat down with the Wall Street Journal. Not exactly a leftist rag. I was asked about the debt ceiling talk, because funny thing, kicking the can down the curb sets up these cuts to come in at the same time as we're going to sit down and talk about raising the debt ceiling again. Now, from my ingesting of right-wing media, conservatives are being told very misleading things about the debt ceiling. Like it spends a dime, because it doesn't. Let me just explain very quickly. I can't do it in song, Schoolhouse Rock style, so you have to apologize. The debt ceiling simply allows the executive branch to fulfill the spending appropriations that Congress passes. Got this? All the debt ceiling does is allow, and in this case, Timothy Geithner, Treasury Secretary, to, issue debt, bonds, to cover the amount that Congress spends in appropriation bills. That's all those are your farm bills, those are all those nice little, corporate giveaways. Don't call it pork, because that's something that only happens in someone else's district. Now, there have been various arguments. The 14th Amendment says that the debt shall not be questioned. Long and short of it, you have to pay the debts, and the debts are legit. So there was some talk last time we had this argument of whether the president could just blow through the debt ceiling and go. Because if he didn't honor the debt, would that be an impeachable offense? If he blew past the debt ceiling and issued debt anyway, would that be an impeachable offense? This is what Republicans... It's their version of penthouse letters or something. I don't know. It's what they enjoy. I'm not one to generally get into someone's, personal proclivities, except for the feet people. You people are still weird, and I don't get you at all. But this is what Republicans enjoy. We saw a lot of politicians like Michelle Bachmann at the time trying to make hay off raising the debt ceiling, never implicitly saying that it spends money, but certainly talking around the issue and intimating, because again, at the end of the day, these people aren't stupid. They're just trying to appeal to stupid people, and they do a very good job of it. So, John Boehner sits down with the Wall Street Journal and was asked about the debt ceiling. And these talks are coming, and Republicans are saying, this is a hostage situation. They are willing to play chicken with the full faith and credit of the United States and our currency, which is the reserve currency of the world. They would like to at least threaten default to get their way. And remember, the deal to raise the debt ceiling, which used to be, again, the opposition party would make some fancy speeches, and in the middle of the night, the thing would get passed, change an 8 to a 9. It's the world's shortest piece of legislation. Like, no one's happy to do it, no one enjoys it, but it's just something that gets done. Until 2011. Republicans decided to hold it hostage. This is where the fiscal cliff, originated from. This was a transitional fossil. And with us up against that limit again, well, we're going to play ball again. But Boehner's saying the debt bill is 1 point of leverage, not the ultimate leverage. So is this Boehner signaling that I'm willing to, as we learned in Johnny Dangerously, play ball? Which should be careful. The number of conservatives will take him out for dinner and give him a thing of malt liquor. Come on, you've seen Johnny Dangerously, right? But it looks like this might not be the fight. And the president has said in no uncertain terms, we will not be negotiating over the debt ceiling. I think he learned in 2011, when you appease hostage takers, you tend to end up with more hostages to negotiate for. That is a growth industry. So my takeaway, and the author, Stephen Moore, was that Boehner hedged. The bad news is one of the ideas that Boehner threw out was a monthly debt ceiling bill, which means at any point, Republicans, could threaten to blow up the ship if the mood struck. This would be a bad thing, by the way, and not because of the downgrade here. For all the folks that want to bash the president for being responsible for the credit downgrade, just note that the interest rate we pay on our debt is actually lower now than before the downgrade. Again, in a shaky economy, people look for no risk, basically places to stash their money. It's safer than in your mattress. So more and more people want to buy our debt. They want to buy our bonds. Now, I would argue that this would be a good time to borrow money and spend it. Create demand. It's what our economy needs. We are a demand economy. You want to talk about job creators? Those are people who spend money. Customers in stores, business to business, you name it. Yeah. Conservatives don't even know this, but they argue this point all the time. Ask a Republican, ask a conservative how we got out of the Great Depression. Now, I don't know, 9 out of 10 will tell you World War II. Well, what did we do in World War II? Like just having a war didn't end the Depression. What did we do? We borrowed an amazing amount of money and we spent it. And lo and behold, Great Depression's over. You got to take it one step further than just the stock common knowledge answer. And now that we can borrow money literally at less than the rate of inflation, right? We basically will be given free money to borrow it. Seems like a good time. God, if Obama was half the liberal the Republicans accuse him of being, we wouldn't even be entering conversations about, possible grand bargains to cut Medicare, Medicaid. We wouldn't be talking about just doing everything we can to, keep the status quo on unemployment benefits. We'd be looking to expand them, make them bigger, grow. That's wrong. Let's expand Medicare. Let's expand Medicaid. The money's there. It's just a matter of priorities. There's literally, we can put a man on the moon, allegedly. We can pretty much do whatever we put our mind to. But if Obama was half the liberal, Republicans, try to sell you books claiming he is, we'd be arguing that. Instead, we get grand bargains, and negotiations, and raising retirement age, and do we change the cost of living adjustments for Social Security, you name it. Cut. Republicans are smart enough at least to know that to get these cuts in these earned benefit programs, they need a Democrat to do it. So I guess the good news is at some point that the saner, and we are speaking in relative terms here, yes, wing of the Republican Party, at least seems to be somewhat coming out of their fever dream. Not entirely, though. One place we're seeing this is, of course, with the beginning of a second term. It's nominations time. And we've already seen one head on a spike, and that is Susan Rice, who was supposed to be the president's choice to succeed Hillary Clinton. Again, it's nice to see back at work, and it's nice to see that conservatives never quite rid themselves of the it's okay to come up with any conspiracy you can think of against Clinton. For whatever reason, that gene exerts itself all too often. When Hillary Clinton, I guess was it stomach flu, passed out, got a concussion, found a blood clot in her head. Back to work today, by the way. Her staff gave her a welcome back gift of a football helmet. Hopefully not one of our G3s. If you're looking to avoid injury. See, I'm topical. But I remember whether it was Fox News and they're like the classy conservative organization where, just asking questions. Is she ducking the Benghazi testimony? Oh, it's about Benghazi. See, we have a conspiracy now within our conspiracy theory, which makes it doubly good and is going to keep you watching even longer. Coming up, Great Events Stream. But when that kooky stuff was going on, she's out. Susan Rice will not be replacing her. She removed her name for, I guess, committing the unpardonable sin of reciting what she was told by our intelligence agencies, but that's neither here nor there. It looks like John Kerry will be our next Secretary of State. Meanwhile, which Republicans were angling for to begin with, so they could get that special election in Massachusetts, and hopefully, in their minds, put Scott Brown back in the Senate. We'll see if that happens. I don't think it's going to be as friendly territory, and he's not running against the absolute milquetoast, horrible candidate Martha Coakley. Again, at least he better not be. One area where it looks like we're going to have a fight is over the Secretary of Defense, and the announcement's supposed to come today. I don't know if it's come yet. Chuck Hagel, former senator from Nebraska, don't hold that against him, and Republican Chuck Hagel. And you would think Republicans would be cool, like, hey, they're going to put a Republican in the spot, like, hooray. Not so much, and this is one of the crazier nomination campaigns I've seen, because literally they're throwing everything, including, I think, the kitchen sink at this guy. The right has gone absolutely nuts to fight one of their own. And if you look at Hagel's voting record, and, it's anti-choice across the board. I think he's got like an 11% rating with the NAACP. You're talking school prayer, anti-flag burning, you name it. He's pretty much got it all. Thanks. Close the door. Getting loud out there. My bad for not closing that prior. He's pretty much a card-carrying member of the GOP. So why the outrage. And literally, it's coming from every corner. On one side, he's very anti-gay, which to the log cabin Republicans is a bad thing. Wait till they wake up one day and find out that they're Republicans. They should read their party platform sometime. The Israeli lobby, Jennifer Rubin, columnist for the Washington Post, who outright admitted to lying to support the Mitt Romney campaign, is out bashing. And Bill Kristol, he's the editor of the Weekly Standard, was bashing Chuck Hagel for admitting that the Iraq War was about oil. So you have the neocon side, you have the Israeli lobby, you have the gay Republicans, everyone and their mother, and I guess their domestic partner, are out for blood for this guy. Here's what you need to know. The Republican Party, as it currently stands, desperately does not want Chuck Hagel as Secretary of Defense. I'm not even sure I want Chuck Hagel, but for very different reasons. One thing you need to understand about the Republican Party is their complaints about Chuck Hagel have nothing to do with the arguments that they are putting in public. It has nothing to do with Israel. It has nothing to do with being gay. What did we say earlier? Follow the money. Chuck Hagel, for all his flaws, again, as a registered Democrat, Chuck Hagel has a myriad, to me, of flaws as a lawmaker. The real reason that he is being opposed, and they are going to throw everything they can at him, two reasons. One, he's not for seemingly anymore. Now, this was a guy that was all in for his support of the Iraq War, who I guess came to the light side through Dick Cheney into the Death Star reactor. I don't know. But he's against unilateral war, and he's okay with defense cuts. And that second point is the real killer. It's not his stance on Israel or what gay people should and shouldn't do in the military. All right? It's about the number of dollars that are sent to defense contractors. Period. End of sentence. That is the alpha and the omega. That is the beginning and the end of their complaint against him. Our permanent war footing, right? We all remember our Ferengi rules of acquisition. War is good for business. If we're not on a permanent war footing, and if we're not constantly on the verge of invading some other country full of brown people, where's the money to be made? Chuck Hagel is okay with cutting defense and doesn't feel like we need to invade people to make our peepees feel bigger. And for those reasons, Chuck Hagel, to them, is unqualified to be Secretary of Defense, to the point where the Republican Party in this country is saying that there are Democrats who would be better and more qualified for the job, and why Republicans will go out of their mind to attack one of their own. You look at some of the lawmakers who are leading the charge, like John Cornyn, who coincidentally has raised over $300,000 from the defense industry, made the mistake, again, unintentional honesty, of saying that Hagel believes the Defense Department can sustain the sort of draconian cuts contained in sequestration. Don't say that out loud. Even the kooks over at Breitbart. In Hagel's case, he is being chosen to oversee massive cuts in defense spending. Not just the $500 billion set to take effect with the sequester, but hundreds of billions of dollars in additional spending cuts already in the works. Hagel would give those cuts a bipartisan veneer and perhaps an extra layer of protection against criticism. This is the good thing of having Republican wingnuts out and proud and loud, is the fact that like Todd Aiken or Richard Murdoch, occasionally, what they really believe comes tumbling out of their mouths if they can help it. And you'll get the real reason behind it, not the let's just see what sticks approach. So unless Hagel's been hiring his domestic help from Zoe Baird, I think we're okay on this one. Hagel is okay with defense cuts. And by the way, so is a majority of Americans. He is dangerous to bottom lines. It has absolutely nothing to do with his qualifications for the job, what performance he might do. He might hurt profits. He might hurt the gravy train. Again, there are very few things all elected officials care more about than military interests in their country. Over the weekend, I was at the Johnson Space Center, just south of Houston. Real nice. Got to see the original mission control. When Houston, we have a problem, that's where the phone call went. A lot of stairs to get up there. If you're going to go, bring some comfortable shoes. But it was fine. One of the ladies in my tram tour group asked, do they launch any missions, or did any missions land here? And the guy's just like, no, and moves on. There's a reason it's called the Johnson Space Center, and that is because one Texas Senator, Lyndon Johnson, decided that his state had better get in, on this gravy train. Well, it makes far more sense to launch things from, I don't know, Florida. There's a lot more water around, so if something goes wrong, or California, at the very least, the middle of nowhere, Anyone been to White Sands recently? No, LBJ wanted it in his district. Again, it's only pork if it happens in someone else's. So we're going to build our launch facilities where it makes sense. But we're just going to put some goodies here and funnel millions here. They do have a large collection of moon rocks and liquid nitrogen, so I guess it paid off. It's a bit of a tourist trap, but I'm a space geek. Look how, again, Chuck Grassley may be the best example. He will whine and cry and assume dear dead about the debt and the deficit and spending. But man, you try to downsize the Iowa Air National Guard and all hell breaks loose. Keep funneling the money into my district. So you're going to hear a lot, especially today after the announcement, about Chuck Hagel as Secretary of Defense. And there are absolutely reasons to oppose his nomination. There are absolutely reasons people would not want him in that position of influence. But at least when it comes from the right, you will, almost never hear their true objection. You will hear everything but. All right. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Stop by and say hi. Or just go to thebradshawshow.com. It's got archives, contact info. It's all there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including most minor and major religious holidays. So www.thebradshawshow.com. Stop by, say hi, and we'll reconvene tomorrow here at 1:30. The Bradshaw Show, Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. See you then.